You see 30 people gathered around a fire, laughing, sharing food, thinking there's safety in numbers, right? Wrong. So wrong. In just 72 hours, half of them will be down with some sickness. A week later, they'll be bickering and fighting over every little scrap they can find. Give it 2 weeks, and they'll either be dead or scattered to the four winds. And you? You're thinking about joining them. Let me lay out the cold, hard math on why sticking it out solo, or maybe with just one or two other trusted souls, is your only real chance to avoid becoming just another statistic with your name etched into some makeshift wooden grave marker. It's the great big lie of safety in numbers. Here's what they conveniently leave out of those feel-good, post-apocalyptic movies. Big groups are resource-guzzling black holes. You've got 30 people? Congratulations. Now you need 30 times the water, 30 times the grub, 30 times the medicine. And here's the gut punch. You don't have it. Nobody does. So what inevitably happens? Rationing kicks in, tension skyrockets, and theft becomes the new normal. Then somebody gets a nasty bug. Then somebody else gets shanked over a measly can of beans. And the whole house of cards collapses like a flimsy shack in a hurricane. Let's crunch some numbers. One person needs about 2 liters of water a day to stay functional. Multiply that by 30 people, and you're looking at 60 liters every single day. That's roughly 15 gallons daily. You're not casually finding that in a babbling brook. You're certainly not boiling that much over a campfire. You're spending every waking moment just trying to keep people hydrated while your own canteen is bone dry. Then you got to factor in food, say 2,000 calories per person per day. That's a staggering 60,000 calories. You'd have to bag a deer every single day just to break even. Spoiler alert, the deer are long gone. So are the squirrels. So eventually is your patience. Groups have a nasty habit of eating themselves, and I mean that literally. Then there's the noise issue, or as I like to call it, why you're basically a dinner bell. 30 people don't exactly whisper. They cough and hack. They argue and bicker. They snore like freight trains. They cook. They generally exist loudly. And in a world where silence is your lifeline, noise is a blinking neon sign that screams, "Free supplies here. Come kill us." Sound travels, man. A campfire can be spotted for miles. Voices carry across valleys. The tantalizing smell of cooked food. It drifts on the wind. And every desperate scavenger, ruthless raider, or something far worse, within a 10-mile radius is now beelining straight for your location. You've got 30 people to somehow defend a perimeter you can't even properly survey in the dead of night. You're rocking maybe 2, maybe 3 guns tops. You got a measly 4 people pulling guard duty while the rest are passed out, totally useless, and just waiting to wake up to a machete in their face. Solo, you're practically a ghost. You move silently. You cook underground or not at all. You don't leave an obvious trail. You're simply not worth the effort to track down. Groups, on the other hand, they're always worth the effort. Always. Finally, let's dive into the disease math. The exponential doom scenario. One person gets sick in a group of 30. Let's say it's just the flu. No biggie, right? Wrong again. In cramped quarters, shared shelters, communal water sources, shared everything, that flu virus spreads like wildfire, infecting 5 people in just 2 days. Then 15, then before you know it, everybody's down for the count. Now you've got 30 sick people, 0 functional guards, in a camp that reeks of death because a couple of folks already kicked the bucket and nobody's got the strength to even drag them out and bury them. The math behind this is called AR, or attack rate. It's how many people one sick person infects within a tight-knit group. An AR of 3, maybe 4. That's exponential growth, my friend. 1 becomes 4. 4 becomes 16. 16 becomes everyone. You don't have antibiotics. You definitely don't have a hospital. You have dirt and wishful thinking. And spoiler alert, hope doesn't cure dysentery. Solo, you get sick. You either recover or you don't make it. But you're not dragging 29 other people down with you. You're not a walking plague vector. You're just one fragile human doing your best not to die alone, which, statistically speaking, is still a far better option than dying in a pile of other people's germs. Here's the brutally honest truth about survival in this kind of world. People are fantastic, right up until the moment they're absolutely not. Picture this. You got a group of 30 people. That means you got 30 different survival instincts clashing, 30 different moral codes bending, and 30 different breaking points waiting to be triggered. Someone is inevitably going to snap. Someone is going to resort to stealing. Someone will eventually decide that their own kid's life is infinitely more valuable than yours. And you know what? In their twisted logic, they're probably right. But that realization doesn't help you much when they're holding a rusty knife to your throat, demanding the last jar of peanut butter. The math here boils down to simple probability. The more people you throw into the mix, the higher the statistical likelihood that at least one of them is a sociopath, a complete coward, or simply desperate enough to do something truly unspeakable that you can never come back from. You can't possibly properly vet 30 people. You sure as hell can't constantly watch 30 people. Let's keep it real. You can barely fully trust one person, maybe. So why would you bet your entire life on 29 complete strangers? A small, tight-knit group, like 2, maybe 3 people you'd literally take a bullet for, and who would gladly do the same for you? That's a viable survival unit. That's actually manageable. 30? That's just a ticking time bomb, a mob waiting for the perfect excuse to explode. But let's say, against all odds, you somehow solve the trust issue. Now you've got to deal with the eating problem. 30 people can strip an entire area clean in a matter of weeks. Every deer, every single edible plant, every last scrap of anything remotely palatable, completely gone. Then the entire group has to pack up and move on. And so does every other massive 30-person group out there. Suddenly, you're not just trying to survive. You're fiercely competing over the same rapidly shrinking slice of pine on land that's been picked cleaner than a desert carcass. But if you're rolling solo or just with a buddy, you're sustainable. One rabbit can provide you with enough food for 2 days. You forage slowly and deliberately. You move lightly and quietly. You're a survivor, not a plague of locusts. You can stay put in one area for months on end because you're not devouring the local ecosystem faster than it can regenerate. The math behind this is called carrying capacity. A given piece of land can sustainably support X number of people. If you exceed X, everyone inevitably starves. Large groups blow past X in a matter of days, but you alone, you're way below that line. You're practically invisible. You're not a significant threat to the land, so the land doesn't actively try to kill you. Okay, so you've got food covered. You've got your trusted partner watching your back. What's next on the disaster checklist? Politics. 30 people invariably need a leader. Someone always steps up to fill that void. Maybe they're decent and fair. Maybe they're a power-hungry tyrant. It doesn't really matter in the long run. Either way, you're now living within a rigid hierarchy. And hierarchies, without fail, always breed resentment. Someone's inevitably taking the lion's share of the food. Someone's sleeping with someone else's significant other. Before you even realize what's happening, you've got warring factions, constant infighting, and ultimately blood spilled on the ground over who gets to be the captain of a rapidly sinking ship. But when you're riding solo, you're the leader, the worker, the guard, and the cook. You make every single decision, and you live with every single consequence, good or bad. There are no power struggles to navigate. There's no backstabbing to worry about. There's just you, the desolate wasteland, in the cold, hard reality of the numbers. So if you absolutely have to have people around, what's the ideal number? 2. 2 is pretty much the sweet spot. 3 is starting to push it. 4 is officially a crowd. You need people you would genuinely trust with your very life, because that's precisely what you're doing. People with specialized skills you don't possess. People who won't suddenly get any bright ideas while you're sound asleep. That's a very, very short list, my friend. 2 people can effectively cover each other's backs. 2 people can share vital resources without completely depleting them. They can move quickly, stay incredibly quiet, and manage to survive in places where a group of 30 would starve to death in a single week. And perhaps most importantly, 2 people can actually foster genuine trust with each other because there's no anonymous crowd to hide within, no faceless mob to blend into. It's just you and them, plain and simple. If they betray you, there is absolutely nowhere to run and no one to hide behind. In the final analysis, the math never lies. Large groups consume resources at an unsustainable rate. They invariably attract more danger. They become breeding grounds for disease. And they almost always collapse under their own sheer weight. Solo or in a tight-knit pair, you are lean, quiet, and ultimately sustainable. You're not a tempting target on the horizon. You are not a massive resource drain. You are not a walking, talking, ticking time bomb of human drama. So when you're out there navigating the wasteland and you happen to hear voices echoing around a campfire, when you spot 30 people smiling and singing Kumbaya, just remember the math. Keep in mind the resource consumption curve, the statistical probability of betrayal, and then just keep walking in the opposite direction. Because out here in the wasteland, the only number that truly matters is 1, maybe 2 if you're lucky, but never, ever 30. If you somehow manage to make it through the winter all alone, congratulations. You've actually survived. If you decide to join that massive group, well, there's probably a very good reason why their campfire is so ridiculously huge. They've got a whole lot of bodies to